Hi, welcome to this Bending Reality class, which I'm going to be teaching on Mindvalley Academy. So firstly, so glad you could join us. I don't know how you got here, but if you're here because you are intrigued and are interested in the idea of learning how to alter the world with your consciousness. It's a topic that fascinates me to no end, and it's something that I've spent a good deal of my life experimenting with and playing with. And it's something which I believe is so crucial in how we function as human beings that everyone should be learning this. Now, maybe you've read books on the law of attraction, or you've heard of ideas such as thoughts create things, and that's good. Then you are already a little bit above and ahead of most people. But what we're going to do here is go really deep. We are going to be going into new ideas on how to put together all of these constructs so that you get more replicable results, you get more accurate results, you see those results in ways that almost make them seem miraculous. And there is an art to it and a system to it that I'll be sharing with you in this training. So first off, before we did this training, I polled the list. I asked you guys what were some of your biggest questions, and this is what I found. So as you can see, you had questions on creating a peaceful balance between mind and body, improving health in the physical body. This was a big one, maintaining financial abundance while doing what I love. So as I prepared this training, I kept these questions in mind to make sure I get to answer as many of these as possible. But as an added bonus, at the end of this training, if you so choose, stay back and I will take you through an FAQ where I will directly answer these 6 questions. So let's get started. Now, before we begin, this training is an extract from the Becoming Limitless coaching program on Mindvalley. If you have already taken the Becoming Limitless coaching program, you do not have to go for this training. Unless you want a refresher. There are just some little nuances which are different. The Becoming Limitless coaching program is the highest rated program on Mindvalley, and it is the advanced course. So no matter what Mindvalley program you take, you always end up in the Becoming Limitless program as the next level. And that's what it looks like. It's the highest rated program in Mindvalley. If you're familiar with NPS scoring, this program gets a whopping 78 on a scale of -100 to 100, which puts it at a higher quality score than even devices such as the iPhone, which is incredible for an online learning program. And that is because of the value and the wisdom and the ideas and the practices which are contained in this really comprehensive training on how to be sort of a ninja at the art of bending reality. So single highest rated online program in Mindvalley history, and this particular training is an extract from the hours upon hours of trainings within Bending Reality. But it stands on itself, so you're going to get incredible value from it. So here's what we're going to be covering. First, we're going to talk about different levels of awareness in terms of who you are as a human being and a soul and a spiritual being, and to identify where you are in your level of awareness. Because you see, this is the trick. How you bend reality is different based on your level of awareness. So depending on your level of awareness, you will learn a different tool. And then of course, we're going to go into those tools. So you will learn these tools. You will learn tools that you can recommend and use with friends, depending on their level of awareness. And you will learn how to ascend up on the awareness scale. So you grow in your awareness. And as you grow, what you want to do in the world, how you want to create in the world, and your accuracy rate, for lack of a better word, of making these things come to you increases as well. So first, a little bit about myself. That's me. I'm the kid in blue. That's me with my cousins and my mom in Malaysia. My mom was a school teacher. And given where I grew up in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I shouldn't be where I am today. I mean, the probability of that is so low. Yet I've been blessed to have a lot of up and downs in my life, but also really remarkable successes despite the odds. And I always credit it. When people ask me how I do it, I don't think it's intellect. I don't think it's money. It is luck, but it's luck that I control. And it's because for a long time, I've been obsessed with studying how my mind seems to be able to manipulate reality to get me to where I want to go. So my journey started in about 2002. So I'd been just out of college at the University of Michigan. And 3 years out of college, this was my track record. I'd been fired twice. I'd lost 2 startups that I'd attempted to start, and I was $30,000 in my hole. So I found myself in San Francisco, and my timing, once again, couldn't have been worse. I moved to San Francisco in April 2001, just as the dot-com bubble had gone poof, 14,000 people lost their jobs that month. I remember reading in the news. And it was a terrible environment to be in. And worse, a few months later, September 11 hit and the economy went into recession. So I remember I was so broke, I was renting a couch from a Berkeley college student. I couldn't afford rent for an actual apartment, so I rented a couch, a two-seater couch, so my legs hung off at the end. And I'm grateful for that college student renting me his least favorite piece of furniture, but on that couch was everything I had. And I was desperate, and I was trying to just get a job. And I sent my resume out to everyone I could on Craigslist, but no one was hiring. Months later, continuing to do this mind-numbing task, I finally got an offer. I got an offer at a dialing for dollars job where I had to pick up the phone and sell software to attorneys. And the economy was so bad, if you did not close a sale, you did not get paid. So people were going back with no salary that month. Now, I was faced with a challenge. There were no other jobs out there. This was the only job I could get. I had to figure out how to make it work. I had no experience talking to lawyers or even in sales or marketing. So I can't remember what happened, but I knew I was depressed and desperate. And I got online and I started Googling. I can't remember what I Googled. Maybe it was for hope. Maybe it was success. Maybe it was, why does life suck so bad? But I found an answer. It was a meditation class. I flew to LA. I took the class. I was the only person who showed up at that class. And I took it and I came back and I thought, hey, I'm going to try these tactics at work. Now, the first tactic was interesting. It was an intuition. And so we had this ritual. We'd go to the San Francisco Public Library, check out the yellow pages. My territory was San Antonio, so I would check out the San Antonio yellow pages, flip to the section on attorneys, and then I would call every lawyer from A to Z, one by one, hoping that one of them was nice enough to give me some time on the phone. And it was a mind-numbing task. But after I took this class, I realized maybe there's a better way to do that. So I used a technique I learned. I ran my finger down the phone book, and I would go within, meditate, and listen for an impulse. And right here in my heart area, I would certainly feel an impulse on certain lawyers, and I would call them. And overnight, I doubled my sales. And so I found this fascinating, but I assumed it was just a coincidence. So I tried to do more. I studied more books. I went for more classes. I started learning more about the mind. And I learned another tactic. So now, before calling the lawyer, I would go into my alpha or meditative state of mind. I visualized the lawyer in front of me. I would set an intention that the deal would close only if it was for the best interests of everyone concerned. And I would say a blessing, express compassion and love to the attorney, and that was that. Now, when I did that, my sales doubled again. And now I knew it wasn't a coincidence. In 4 months, I got promoted 3 times. They shipped me out to New York and asked me to start their New York office. So I played around in New York for a while, working for the same company. I'd become director of sales. I was only 26 years old. But after a while, something else happened. I got so in tune with my intuition that it would guide me. And I got a guidance to quit. It was this strong yet scary feeling. But I knew I had to quit. So I quit and I decided to start my own business. And I was thinking about what to do. Again, I got a guidance. Teach the mind. Teach aspects of the human mind. So I thought, well, why don't I start an e-commerce company on meditation? And that's how Mindvalley was started. Started in 2003 in New York in that apartment in Times Square. Before I moved in, it was a Thai massage parlor right there. And we all know what Thai massage parlor is code word for in Times Square. So it was a really shabby apartment. That's me. You could see I could barely afford pants. The chair, the desk were actually salvaged from the street. When I started out, didn't have much money. Yet, as I started doing this, the beautiful thing was I got to learn from many of the authors I was building websites for. That was what I was doing initially, building websites. And as I learned from them, plus I got trained as a meditation instructor. I started teaching. I trained thousands of people in New York. I got better and better at understanding what was going on in my head. And being an engineer, my degree was computer engineering, I decided to codify it, to turn it into a code that anyone could use. So I would put myself through all these incredible experiences. I would put myself in chambers, meditate for 7 days with my brain hooked up to machines, and I would learn stuff, and I would update the code. I got invited to share the stage with the Dalai Lama in Calgary at one point, and it was such an honor, and I learned from being on that stage, being with those incredible people. I got to spend time with Richard Branson, and I learned from him and other legends in the world stage today. And with that again, I updated the code. And soon, I had this incredible code in my head and I could apply it in my life and I could accelerate things despite formidable odds. To show you, let me share with you some interesting pictures of just what I went through. When I first started out, that was me, right? I was embarrassed that I was the only employee in my company, so on our About Us page, I listed my dog Ozzy, just so we would look a little bit bigger. But very shortly, we went from there to this, to a company with 200 employees, with people all around the world taking part in competitions to get a job at Mindvalley because we've been deemed one of the best private companies to work for. That was one of our first offices. You can see how shabby it is. That is one of my 5 offices right now. That's just a meeting room. And we've won awards such as Inc. magazine, top 10 world's coolest workplaces. Not bad given where I came from. That was where my programmers who worked on our software would work from, and you can see the table behind them. That's where we laid out food for them to eat. That's where we eat now, in this fabulous diner that we own. That was my Christmas card in 2005. My cat has still not forgiven me for that embarrassment. And that's my Christmas card more recently, about 3 years ago. Now I have my entire auditorium, which I invite my friends to celebrate Christmas together. That's quite a card. And no longer am I abusing my cat. So all of these transformations were happening at this rapid pace. But here's more. That's me and my wife. When we first started out, we would take our team to these little islands once a month just for a team retreat. And I remember that night, we were renting little huts for $10 a night because that's what we could afford. That's all we could afford. You can see how shabby it looks. Now, I still take my team to team retreats, but they've turned into these gigantic gala affairs. In that situation, we rented our own private island. That is the Hall of Awesomeness at Mindvalley, where when a new person comes, we make them take an oath of awesomeness on that statue of Wonder Woman. You can see how shabby that stage is, that hall is. You can see the plant behind me has 7 leaves on it. Now, that is our Hall of Awesomeness, where new hires take their oath. We have our own frickin' auditorium. And all of this happened, interestingly enough, despite the poor odds. It didn't happen in America. It happened in Malaysia, which is where I'm from. It didn't happen because I got a round of venture capital. In fact, I did all of this with no investment, no venture capital. I was able to make my life accelerate like that, and I started asking myself, why is it that some people experience this sort of growth in their life, but most people don't? And I asked myself, is there a formula? And part of that formula is what you're going to learn today. Question is, people ask me, Vishen, do you just have some magical ability? Will it work for others? So here's what I want to share. So as I said, this is an extract from my Becoming Limitless program on Mindvalley Academy, Mindvalley's highest rated course. These are just some letters people get from have shared with us from applying some of these ideas. Pavel said, as a result of the above, I've moved further with my projects in 6 months than he did in the previous 7 years. Genuine truth in the lessons. This guy, Chris Holder, said, the level of growth I've seen over the past 8 weeks has been unlike anything else I've ever experienced. I've spent a lifetime seeking, studying side by side with some of the most influential gurus you can think of, and not any of these experiences has given me the level of personal growth and professional leapfrogging that this has. By this, he means the Becoming Limitless program. Rachel Balance had said, she's talking about a technique in the program called the Delta Doorway, which we'll talk about a little bit, about how she got crazy results with just this one technique, and she has the biggest smile on her face right now. Stephanie talked about how she is using forgiveness as an advanced tool. It's something else I teach in the Becoming Limitless program, to expand her ability to manifest. So all of these people are getting amazing results. And the thing is, all of us have the same substance. My soul is made from the same stuff as your soul. And we all are endowed with the same spiritual abilities. And therefore, I believe that with the code I'm about to share with you, you can unlock your abilities. And in this class, you're going to get a really, really, really beautiful piece of that code. And you're going to be able to apply it in your life immediately. So first, before we start the lesson, the preparation stuff. So before the lesson, I ask you to do a simple exercise, the blueprint for the soul, where I ask you to rate 12 different areas of your life. Okay, let's go through that again. If you have done it, wonderful. If you haven't done it, I'm going to take you through it again so we can make sure we really lock this in. So the first thing is, the 12 areas look like that. Okay, and they're grouped according to experiences, growth, contribution, because I believe that these are the 3 most important questions we got to ask ourselves. How do we want to contribute? How do we want to grow? what type of experiences do we want to have in our lives. And so each of these have 4 different smaller buckets, and you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10 in each of these 4 areas. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your love life? On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your ability to have beautiful adventures? So if you have done it, wonderful. If not, let's do it together now as I go through these 12 areas really quickly. Now I'm going to go through it quickly. Don't worry about that. Whatever is the first answer that comes to you is often the right one. That's the one coming from your intuition. So we'll start with experiences. Okay, so the first one is your love relationships. 0 to 10, how would you rate your love life today? Second, your friendships. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your friendships today? The people you surround yourself with, the opportunities you have to socialize with friends, the number of friends you have. Your adventures. Do you have enough time and money and opportunity to see the world, to have adventures in different places, adventures with different people, to do crazy things like scuba diving or bungee jumping, stuff that makes you thrilled to be alive? Rate yourself from 0 to 10. Next, your environment. Now remember, we don't rate ourselves for money because money is a means goal, not an end goal. What we want is what money can give us, whether it's better health and often a better environment. How would you rate your environment? Your home, your apartment, your car, your office space. Okay, now we go on to growth. So growth is a key ingredient of being human. I believe our souls are here because they love to grow. So how would you rate your health and fitness, depending on the age you're at right now? How would you rate your intellect? Many people forget this, but intellect implies the number of books we read, the seminars we take, the online courses we take. Are you growing in terms of this? How would you rate your spiritual life? How often you meditate? What spiritual abilities you're opening up to? Whether it's the ability to bend reality or harness your intuition or practice tactics such as the Delta Doorway, which you learn about. Your skills. And these are not skills that you need to do to get that promotion. But remember, we're only referring to end goals. So skills that you want to learn for the sake of learning them itself, because the skill itself excites you. Maybe playing the piano, maybe public speaking. Contribution. Okay, now we go on to the 4 elements of contribution, starting with your career. Your career is a great way you contribute. Are you in a career where you're contributing to the world or where you're taking away from the world? Are you working for a Humanity Plus company, one that's pushing the human race forward? Or a Humanity Minus company, one that's marketing, I don't know, crap, high fructose corn syrup, contributing to the obesity epidemic? I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm trying to be realistic. How would you rate your contribution to the world in terms of your career? Then your creative life. Do you have enough time to create? That's a beautiful way people contribute to the world. To write, to paint, to make music. Your family life. Time with family. The quality of your relationship with your children, your spouse, your parents. And finally, your community. The Dalai Lama said, if you want to be happy, make others happy. That's why giving to the community is so important. So you could be giving to the community if you are a teacher, if you are a mom or a dad raising kids, volunteer work, donations, contributing to the community at the work you're in, at the religious institution you're part of. So how would you rate your community contribution? Okay, so again, those are the 12 areas. Now think about the ones that you scored the lowest in, the 3 lowest. Okay, just make a note of those 3 and just pick 3 for now. And in a moment, you'll see why. So you've done step 1. Now let's go on to step 2, the evolution of consciousness. So when it comes to the evolution of consciousness, keep in mind that there are 4 different levels in which we are creating at. And it looks like this: level 1, 2, 3, 4. The victim stage, the thoughts create reality stage, the servant to a higher calling stage, and then oneness. Most of us here listening today are at level 1 and level 2. The trick is to improve your abilities at level 2 to the point where you get to level 3. Maybe 1% of the world is at level 3. And a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction, maybe just a handful of people walking the planet today are at level 4. We'll talk about those in a moment. First, let's talk about the victim stage. So when you're at the victim stage, you are there with about 70 to 80% of the world population. And you see elements of this in people's conversations, in people's dialogue. When you're at the victim stage, you believe that the world is happening to you. Now, all of us here know that life can happen to you or life can happen from you. But if you're at the victim stage, you don't know that yet. So you're upset at that boss who is mean to you. You're upset at that guy or girl who won't give you the attention you want. You're upset at your career. And if you look at the stats, you can see just how formidable the victim stage is. 54% of Americans dislike their jobs. Only 1 in 3 people in America today consider themselves happy. More than half of of marriages fail. All of that are signs of people being trapped in that victim stage where they feel helpless. Now, at a certain point, you start awakening. You start discovering that your thoughts can create reality. Often it's because of a book we read or a conversation we had. For me, it started happening when I discovered books by writers such as Neil Donald Walsh, Jose Silva. I started stumbling upon this idea that my thoughts could create my reality, and the more I played around with it, the more I noticed coincidences that proved it correct. And the better and better and better I got at it, the better and better and better I got at life. As you start doing that, you get to a third level, which is where you become a servant to a higher calling. Here, it's not about your thoughts. It's not about your intentions. It's not about your goals. Rather, you become a conduit, a channel to a higher calling. And you develop these nudges, these callings to do something for the world. It's an incredible state to be in. This is where you are genuinely pushing humanity forward, but you're not doing it through intention. You're doing it through inspiration. Inspiration, the universe, speaks to through you and creates through you. That is when you accelerate your rate of creation because you have an ally. Now, the final state is a feeling of oneness. It's harder to get here. I have met people who are at this state, and these people are incredible. They can heal with the touch of their hand. They can think a thought and have it come. It is an incredible state to be in. But it's not for all of us. It's a state where you stop really caring about the most of the human world. And some of us may aspire to get there. It's a monk-like state. It takes a lot of training. I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm not going to spend too much of this conversation going to that state. But to give you a holistic idea, it was important for you to see that there is that fourth level. So let's talk about thoughts impacting reality, right? For each of these states, you start impacting reality with your thoughts. At the victim state, in an unfortunate way. At the servant to a higher calling state, in beautiful, incredible ways. But is this really true? What's the scientific evidence for this? Now, some of you may be engineers like me, and I want to share with you some of the most amazing stories and case studies I found that show this. So, first let me tell you why I'm sharing this scientific evidence bit. Some of you have told me, Bishan, I know this scientific evidence, don't bother repeating it for me. The reason I do this is because the way I teach is to upgrade your models of reality and also teach you systems, right? That's the model of consciousness engineering, which is the education model I build Mindvalley on. What I want to share here are some insights that will update your models of reality on just how powerful your thoughts can influence your life. All of you, if you're here, pretty much accept it. So I want to show you just how insanely powerful it is and how you're probably underestimating it. Now, the first concept is this the mystical law of attraction or simply our brain's reticular activation system? The reticular activation system is simply that notion that a bit of our brain that if we are seeking something, you buy a white Honda Civic, and all of a sudden, as you're driving, you start noticing white Honda Civics. It's the brain's attention mechanism. You tell your brain what you want it to focus on, and those things start becoming more noticeable to you in the world. Is it just that, or is it a mystical ability? Honestly, I don't care. I don't believe we need to know how it works to ensure that it works. Let me share something. There was an engineer, and this is a true story. He worked at Bell Labs, and he was a major skeptic. So one day he was at a party, and he met this woman who he found attractive. He asked her what she did, and she said, well, I'm a psychic, a healer. And he thought, bullshit, absolute bullshit. I'm going to call her out on this. So he said, all right, well, you're Miss Fancy Psychic Healer. Tell me what's wrong with myself. So she looked at him for a while. He said, what are you doing? And he goes, she said, well, I'm just checking out your aura, your energy body. Then she moved her hand around his body and then stopped just under his armpit and said, you have an armpit rash. You really should look at that and have that dealt with. And Scott was dumbfounded. because he did have an armpit rash. He was shocked. He thought she was going to pick up something obvious, such as, you probably feel very stressed at work, don't you? Or you've had your heart broken at one point. But no, she picked armpit rash. The odds of that were like 1 in tens of thousands. He became a believer that there was something more to just the physical world. And he started reading and experimenting. And one of the ideas he learned was thoughts create reality. And he learned it through a simple tactic. This was the 80s, so it was affirmations. It was really popular then. I don't recommend it now because I'm going to teach you better tactics, but in the 80s when Scott did this, affirmations was his tool. So he decided to try writing things down. He decided he wanted to make money in the stock market, and he wrote down 20 times, I have made money in the stock market. I've made money in the stock market. I've made money in the stock market. I, Scott, have made money in the stock market. And this is how it happened. He woke up one night with the word Chrysler flashing in his head. And he thought this was really odd because you don't just wake up with a random company name in your head. So Scott bought Chrysler stock, and sure enough, a few days later, even though the stock was stagnant, company changes were announced and the stock just started climbing and climbing, and he made thousands. And he thought, this is really cool. I gotta use this for bigger stuff. So at that point, Scott had a dream. He wanted to get into the MBA program at the University of Berkeley, a very competitive program. Now, in America, if you're applying for an MBA program, you take a test called the GMAT, and you have to score a certain score to get into major universities like Berkeley or Stanford. Now, Scott knew the score he needed to score was 94, so he took the test. You can take these preparation tests, and he kept getting scores in the 70s. He was frustrated. You see, they say that the test measures your thinking ability, and your thinking ability doesn't change overnight. Your knowledge might, but not your thinking ability. So if you score in the 70s for the preparation test, when you take the actual test, odds are you're still going to be in the 70s. You're not going to go much higher. Scott was only getting it in the 70s, but he kept making that affirmation. I, Scott, am going to be a student at the MBA program at Berkeley. And he said, one day he saw the mail arrive. He went to his mailbox, opened it, and he saw that envelope from the testing board. And he closed his eyes, and he knew that he was going to have a 94 in there. And he opened it, and sure enough, it was a 94. He got into Berkeley, got his MBA. And at that point, when he graduated, he decided he wanted to do something interesting with his life. He never forgot the tactic. He decided he wanted to be a syndicated cartoonist. He did the math. The odds of becoming a successful syndicated cartoonist are 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000 that your comic strip is going to be accepted by a major newspaper. Scott knew, however, that the odds did not apply to him because he had that mystical ability. And sure enough, Scott Adams' comic strip, Dilbert, made it into the newspapers, and today it's like a global, worldwide sensation. Scott did more. He developed a Dilbert television show, and in the article that he wrote about this mystical ability, he even said that he set a goal to have a New York Times best-selling book, which he did. And then he thought, well, why don't I have number 1 and number 2 best-selling books in the New York Times? And he pulled that off too. For a brief while, I believe it was the summer, sometime in the mid-90s, his books were number 1 and number 2 on the New York Times. And Scott said, reporters often ask me if I'm amazed by the success of the Dilbert comic strip. I definitely would be amazed if not for my bizarre experience with affirmations. That is one of the most amazing stories I read. And when I read that story, it created a new model in my head that this is the most incredible productivity hack, the most incredible determinant of our success. We all ought to be doing this. Now, there's more. Do you know that with your thoughts, just thinking about someone right now, you are influencing them physically, and science has proven this? It's called the William Broad experiment. So William Broad did an experiment. He's a scientist. He took hundreds of people, divided them into 2 groups, senders and receivers. They were in different rooms. The receivers were hooked up to 19 different instruments that measured neurological response, and the senders were paired up to receivers. At certain points, say 1:53 p.m., Broad would signal the senders to think about the receivers. And at those precise moments, 1:53 p.m., the neurological machines that were measuring the receivers would show changes. There would be more, their brain waves would slow down. Their heart might show a healthier beat. They were actually showing physical changes in their body when the senders were thinking of them. Isn't that incredible? And it shows you just how powerful your thoughts are about your loved ones. Then there's this amazing book by Robert Lanza, who was voted one of the top 100 most influential scientists in the world by Time magazine. It's called Biocentrism, and Robert Lanza put forth a theory that consciousness shapes the universe. And I believe this is true, but it's not just shaping the universe in a larger sense. Consciousness, when you learn to use it, can dramatically shape your life right now. So let's just pretend that reality is an illusion. We don't know for sure, right? I mean, even the word illusion has so many different meanings for it. But let's pretend reality is an illusion. Now, whether this is true or not does not really matter. My acceptance of this model has given me the confidence to pursue seemingly impossible goals. And odds are it's going to be the same for you. See, if you can accept any model of reality, why not choose one that suggests you can literally bend reality with your mind? And that is what we're going to be exploring right now. So, pretending it's true will bring you immense benefits. And I want you to, as you go through this, just pretend that you have this ability. And as you start pretending, it starts becoming truer and truer for you, which then reinforces your belief in it. But remember, the process must align with what level you're in. Otherwise, you could be setting yourself up for failure. But also know that you can ascend the levels. As you practice, you go from level 1 to 2 to 3. Maybe one of you might even hit level 4. So, let's talk about the process in each level. Now, level 1 is emerging from the victim state. So, when you're in the victim state, what you want to do is get out of it. Now, most of you are not at level 1. Most of you, I bet, are at level 2. If you're at the victim stage, you may not want to attend a class like this. It just wouldn't appeal to you. You might scoff at the entire idea. So I know most of you are at level 2 or early level 2. But there are some of you who might be at level 1. If you are at level 1 or you know someone that is, this is how you can get them to emerge. First, they have to understand that their beliefs determine their reality. So here's what's going on, right? Don't be deluded into thinking, well, I know my goals in life. I have written these goals down. I'm consciously creating my life. In reality, there's a big difference between what you know you believe and what you don't know you believe. You see, your beliefs are what are creating your reality, not your thoughts. Thoughts do not create your reality. Your beliefs create your reality. When you learn this distinction, you understand why sometimes you win, sometimes you fail. But the thing about beliefs are, most of our beliefs are subconscious. We don't know we have them. So here's an example of how it works. A man or a woman, I'm just going to pick a woman for this example, as a baby girl, has a father who is abusive, very stern, a bit of a disciplinarian, and she grows up with a belief that she's not good enough, that men can be abusive, that men will force her to do things she doesn't want to do. And so the belief becomes so deeply set in her that even as an adult, when she's on a date, her thoughts are governed by that belief. Her date may do something and she picks up on the thing he did that makes her feel that she's being controlled or forced, or the thing he did that makes her feel that he's being too uncaring or abusive or stern. And it causes drama in her entire dating life. She could be with a boss who's a male, and maybe he's just being a boss, but she perceives him as being too aggressive because she has that inner belief. So your beliefs, sometimes you don't know you have them, but they govern your thoughts because our thoughts come from our beliefs. So when you're in the victim stage, or even in early levels of level 2, it's very important to be aware of our beliefs, to use models to remove the beliefs. Now, those of you who are on the full program, Becoming Limitless, you're already learning those models and you're swapping in and out, swapping out your bad beliefs and swapping in good beliefs. But all of us need to be aware of this and how we can alter our beliefs. So you want to embrace focused, directed thought over unconscious creation. Unconscious creation comes from the unconscious beliefs that we have. Always embrace focused, directed thought. So here's a daily tool, right? If you're at level 1, or if you know someone who is, the daily tool is a really beautiful concept called segment intending. And it works like this. It comes from Esther Hicks, from the Abraham Hicks books. And it works like this. You ask yourself, wouldn't it be nice? Before starting your day, you go, wouldn't it be nice if I had a wonderful commute? Wouldn't it be nice if my lunch appointment today with my co-workers was so enlightening and we had such incredible discussions? Wouldn't it be nice if I got home from work on time? Wouldn't it be nice if I finished that project on time? Now notice, Abraham Hicks says, you say, wouldn't it be nice, rather than, I will have an incredible lunch. Because for many people who are just playing around with this, making a declaration, I will, even an affirmation, is still too much because they are still in that victim mentality. They don't yet fully understand how powerful their thoughts can be, and they are still harboring preset negative beliefs that they need to clear. So this is a really beautiful introductory stepping stone. Wouldn't it be nice? So you can do the segment intending. I still do it every day because it's a beautiful exercise. You can do it as an individual session during daily commute or meditation, or do it with the 6 phase. So if you practice my 6 phase meditation, visualizing your perfect day, you can apply segment intending to that section. It's phase 5. Now, of course, let's talk to those of you at level 2, which is the majority of you, the culture hacker. Now, we call level 2, I sometimes call it the culture hacker, because you're questioning traditional culture of the way life should be, traditional dogma, traditional ideas of career, and you're setting new intentions for yourself. You're hacking the rules of the culturescape. So at level 2, the most important thing for you to know is that you must know what you want. Your work, according to Hicks, is to simply determine what you want. Now do you see why I made you do that 12 areas of balance exercise and rate yourself from 0 to 10 in all of those areas? Because by looking at the 3 areas where you score the least, you already have a clue on what you should be thinking about improving. So Hicks says the most valuable skill that you could ever develop is the skill of directing your thought towards what you want, to be adapted, quickly evaluating all situations and then quickly coming to the conclusion of what you most want and then giving your undivided attention to that. Okay? Sounds simple, but it isn't. Here's what most people do. So most people do this, right? And I'm going to explain this through an analogy. Imagine a patron in a restaurant. Let's say his name is Bill. And Bill opens up the menu, tries to decide what he wants. And he decides, I want tomato soup. So he calls the waiter, waiter, could I order the tomato soup, please? The waiter goes, not a problem, sir. I will get you the tomato soup as fast as possible. The waiter dashes into the kitchen, speaks to the chef and says, chef, start preparing tomato soup. So the chef goes, okay, no problem, whatever Bill wants. The chef starts dicing the tomatoes, putting it in water, making the soup. All of a sudden, Bill calls the waiter back and Bill goes, you know, waiter, I've been thinking and maybe I need something a little bit different today. Maybe I'll just have the spaghetti. Could you get me spaghetti? The waiter goes, not a problem. This is a restaurant to serve. I got your back. I'm getting you spaghetti. Waiter goes back to the chef and says, chef, forget the tomato soup, dump the soup. The chef now takes the soup, tosses it away, goes, no problem. Start boiling the spaghetti. Then Bill calls the waiter again. Waiter, you know, let's hold in the spaghetti. You know, what I think I want is just a glass of sparkling water. And the waiter says, no problem, goes back to the kitchen, asks the chef to dump the spaghetti. So think about that for instance, right? Think about it this way. Think of Bill as you, the conscious mind, the waiter as your subconscious, and the chef as the superconscious or universe or God or whatever you call it. Most of us get an impulse of what we want. It goes to our subconscious, it goes to the higher power. But just as it's coming to you, because remember there's a time delay, right? It doesn't happen instantly. You change your mind. So you decide you want to go to Thailand. You don't have the money for it. You don't know how you're going to get there, but you start visualizing that. You're excited about it. It's going to your subconscious mind. It's going to the universe. That trip is coming to you through weird synchronicities and coincidences. That trip is about to come. And all of a sudden, you go, you know, maybe it's too much effort to fly 20 hours from New York to Thailand. Maybe I'll just go to California and visit my parents for the summer. Boom, it disappears. And we do that with our love life. We do that with our careers. Many of us have difficulty making a decision and sticking to it. And now if you make a decision and you expand it, like if you say Thailand and you say, well, you know, after Thailand, maybe I want to go visit Vietnam and visit the beautiful hills in that country. That's fine, you're expanding, right? But if you're flip-flopping, you counter your ability to manifest things in your life. So the first thing is, know what you want, stick to it for a bit. So that's a simple model. Now let's go into a long-term tool that you can apply. And that long-term tool is creative visualization. So creative visualization, I do it every single day. You can do it as an individual session for urgent needs, health, business problems, etc. Or do it as phase 4 of the 6-phase meditation, vision for the future. So here's how it works. First you go into alpha. And alpha is simply a slower brainwave frequency. It's measurable through an EEG machine. You don't need any of that. Just know that alpha is an easy state to get in. Feel yourself relax. You can use any meditation style you want. You can sit up on your bed, feel yourself relax, breathe in and breathe out for like a minute or so. Now when you're there, this is how you do it. Now this is the nuance. Most people start immediately by thinking about what they want. Don't do that. I'm going to teach you this technique. Start by seeing and feeling the pain of your current situation. So you know one of those 3 areas you pick? Pick the area with the lowest thing and feel the pain. Just for now, briefly, just think about what is it about that thing that makes you feel pain? What is it that you don't want? What are the negative feelings you feel? How does it bring down not just you, but your family, but others? Feel that for a moment, right? Then, so I'm going to explain the exercise and then we're going to do it towards the end. Then stop feeling the pain and shift to the solution. Now you see the solution and you feel the positive feelings of that solution. If you don't know what the solution is, that's okay. Make it up. You don't have to exactly know who that man or woman of your dreams is. See yourself on a beautiful date with a man or woman of your dreams, but you can see that face covered up. It doesn't really matter. But feel the solution. So you start with pain. You spend like a minute or so seeing, knowing what you don't want, feeling the pain. Then you see the solution. Now the reason is that I believe by seeing the pain and feeling it, you create more, you give yourself more juice for the positive emotions, for the solution. And those positive emotions are what are really important. We'll be going deeper into that in a moment. But also the gap between where you are now and where you want to be is important. It creates more drive, more intention, more desire. All of that is important. It makes you stick to it. And by feeling the pain, you make the feelings of the solution feel even stronger to you. And emotion is a crucial part of creative visualization. So many of you ask, how can we do this for healing? Well, let me teach you the healing technique. So when I was 17 years old, I'd been plagued with 5 years of horrendous skin. It affected my self-esteem. I'd never ever even been on a date with a girl. I just felt so insecure because my skin was horrible. At school, other teenagers would call me pimple boy. It was horrible. And one day, I picked up a book on creative visualization and there was an article there on healing the skin. So I did what that book told me to do. I would meditate. And now when you're doing healing, you do a slightly different tactic. We use subconscious imagery. You use symbolism to speak to your subconscious. So here's what I did. Here's what the book told me to do. And the incredible thing was, I healed my skin in 5 weeks. In 5 weeks, even though I'd been plagued with problems for 5 years and I'd seen all these doctors, in 5 weeks, I got clear skin and my pimples disappeared. It was amazing. So here's what I did. First, I imagined myself outside looking at the sky. Then I imagined I could grab a piece of the sky and the sky would be like cream, beautiful, soothing, healing blue cream, and I'd rub that over my face, right? Then I would look up at the sky and I'd feel the sun rays pouring down on me and the cream would harden into a mask. I'd then pull off the mask, and as I pulled off the mask, all the dead skin, the pimples, all the crap would come off. I would then look and see greenery, and I would grab cream from the greenery. This represented nature, it represented health. I would take the green cream, rub it around my face, look up at the sun, and as the sun shone down in the green cream, gradually this way, it would blend with my skin, fill in all the unsightly pores and gaps, and heal my skin all the way down to the bottom. Then I'd see myself open my eyes and have beautiful skin. 5 weeks, healed my skin. But here's what I did, right? For the healing method, I would start by again seeing and feeling the pain, the taunts and the insults that were hurled at me, the lack of confidence. Then I would stop feeling the pain and shift to the solution. I would do that visual. Now as I'm seeing the solution, I would see it being symbolically healed. See, with healing, it's sometimes too big of a gap for me to just see myself healed. You know, your mind has discomfort with that. So you see yourself doing something to make yourself healed. But you're not a doctor, you don't know how the skin works. That's fine. You're communicating with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind speaks and understands through symbology. That's why I do those metaphors, dipping into the sky, grabbing essence of nature, sun shining on my skin, healthy skin. You see your body being symbolically healed. If your doctor's giving you a pill of medication, imagine yourself taking that pill of medication as it goes into you, energy or light emanating from it and contributing to the healing. Then you see and feel yourself being fully healed, walking the world, feeling confident, no more bad skin, no more flu. And you repeat 3 times a day for serious injuries or illness. So if it's something small, you can do it once a day. For my skin, I did it 3 times a day. It took me maybe 5 minutes each. For something more severe, it could take a little bit longer. Half an hour a day but 3 times a day is what you want to do for health, okay? Because health is something that you need to do it 3 times a day, because when you're not doing it, the pain might come back. And so you have that constant jab making you feel negative about it. 3 times a day helps put you in that positive state. So let's talk about amplifying the results, right? What does that look like? How can we get even better results? Well, the first rule is don't attach to the outcome. Don't attach yourself to the outcome. After you're done with the visual, get out of your bed, stop the meditation, and just go on with life. Watch television, read a book, forget about it. When you start thinking about it, you start obsessing about it. And when you start obsessing about it, fears and worries come in. Pretend as if you've put it out there and it's going to be taken care of. And here, let me share with you the power of expectancy. Imagine a friend borrowed money from you, and he promised to pay you back in 7 days. But 7 days come and go, and he's nowhere in sight. You can't get him to pick up the phone or respond to email. You're frustrated. Several weeks go by, still no word from him. You're even more frustrated. All of a sudden, you get a call from him. He goes, I'm so sorry. I had no idea what happened to me, but I feel like a jerk. I'm so sorry. You've been a great friend. So look, I'm sending you an email right now. I'm sending you a check. In the email, I'm sending you a copy of the FedEx slip, so you know the check is coming your way, and a photocopy of the check. Put it in the mail. Check is on its way. The check is in the mail. Now, how do you feel? Most of us would instantly feel relieved. Do we have our money back yet? No, the check is only in the mail. But instantly, we feel relief. We might even forgive our friend. The anger disappears. That's how you have to feel. You have to assume the check is in the mail. You have to assume the chef in the kitchen is making the food as we speak. When you come out of your meditation, don't obsess over it. Don't think about how much you're frustrated with your friend. Don't think about why isn't the food here yet. The chef is preparing it. The check is in the mail. That is the expectancy effect. That is crucial to this working for you. You see, there's this thing called a time gap, right, in manifesting. Imagine if the world worked in such a way where any thought we put out there would instantly happen. I would say elephant, and boom, we'd get crushed by a giant elephant falling on our heads. So the time gap keeps us safe and keeps us from killing ourselves from falling elephants. But the time gap is essential. Understand that it's there, and don't stress out. So the other tip is to forget the how. Don't worry about how you're going to end up with the solution. So I want to share with you an incredible story that happened in my life. So in March 2008, I got this email from Kylie, who worked for me. Kylie is a really smart guy. He's now a major player in Silicon Valley. But in that email, Kylie asked me to check out the New York Times article. And he said, check this out. It's about how Branson, Tony Blair, the ex-co-founder of PayPal, etc., all gather on Branson's Island to plan how to save the world as well as party with bikini-clad women. Do you guys aim that big? Apart from co-identity and picturing the perfect day, sometimes I think about intense experiences as in one-off events which will leave an enduring mark on the memory of my life, and I really want to get to a point where I can be on that island with Branson someday. Perhaps I can meet you guys there too. That was in 2008. Through a bizarre series of coincidences, as me and Kylie set this goal together, 4 years later, we ended up on Branson's Island. Those are pictures. The first one on the left is me and Kylie sitting together, riding to the island. Then you can see Kylie with Branson in a boat. Then there you will see Branson sitting around with us in a circle, getting advice from him. I don't know who the naked cowboy is, but it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trip. And it happened 4 years later through a series of remarkable coincidences. See, Kylie thought, maybe we have to be billionaires before we can get on that island. Turned out, it happened through a bizarre series of coincidences where I happened at a charity fundraiser to meet a man who was one of the biggest fundraisers for Branson's charity. He was organizing a trip to the island. He had an extra spot. And what had happened was a hurricane had hit the island several months before. And so because of that, the regular hotel that was on the island was destroyed. And normally it's really expensive to stay on the island. But because the regular hotel had been destroyed, they were allowing people who were planning for this trip, who had selected for this trip, to stay at cheaper accommodations on little boats just moored off the shore. Kylie and I at that time couldn't afford the regular hotel, but we could afford the cheaper boat. All of these coincidences happened. Right person, right network, synchronicity. We ended up on that island having an incredible time with Branson 4 years later. See, the how breaks down. And this is something I firmly believe, and you'll notice it too. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You just have to know what you want. And the universe will find the best way to bring it to you. Now with that, we come to level 3, where you become a servant to a higher calling. So, as you start practicing this, you start getting bored at just creating these wonderful things in your life. At a certain point, you have enough money, you have love, you have those kids you've always wanted, you have that nice home. And this is where, if you really pay attention and you really start ascending in your spiritual growth, you move to stage 3, the calling. This is where intention isn't how you create. Inspiration comes to you, and that inspiration leads to intention. The universe, or life force, or whatever you want to call it, speaks to you. It's as if it chooses you to do something in the world. I've had times in my life when I tried to steer away from personal growth, start a technology company, do this, and something would happen and those things would disappear from my life, sometimes even in a nasty way, and I'd get steered back to what I believe is my calling. And I would succeed even greater at my calling at that point. And that's when you could say one is leading a mission-oriented life. But many people who are there, it's because they've learned to get there by paying attention and discovering their calling. When you get there, life looks like this. It's perpetually growing. And sometimes you have little downs. We call those dips. But those dips are nothing more than auto-correction mechanisms. I had a dip when I almost lost my company. We were almost going for bankruptcy. But that dip forced me to make changes in my life that led to incredible growth. I had another dip where another company I was starting on the side to Mindvalley collapsed. But that dip made me realize how important Mindvalley was for me and to the world, and to dedicate even more time to it. And I got better results, and I was so much happier. We have dips when someone breaks our heart, and then we meet someone better. We have dips when an injury puts us in hospital, but we learn to appreciate our body better. Those are not random events, see? When you get to level 3, that's the universe speaking to you, nudging you. Sometimes you learn because you're listening, so you get the insight. Some of us are too stubborn to actually listen. And then the universe is like, all right, I'm going to have to make you break a leg so you end up in hospital, so you start taking better care of your body. But when you learn this tool, you stop having dips because you are so in tune, you just get insight after insight after insight. And that's where you want to be. As if those of you who have taken the Becoming Limitless course, you already know I teach you how to get there. That's a whole other training. So that's the auto-correction mechanism, right? Now, because I really wanted to deliver value, I want to go a little bit deeper and teach you an advanced training, because I know many of you are thinking about this. So we've spoken about creative visualization. We've spoken about how you can do this as phase 4 of the 6-phase meditation, how you can do it as its own exercise. But how do you see the end result? How do you see the end result so that you don't have to worry about the outcome, and so that you are moving yourself more towards level 3, more towards inspiration, more towards what the universe knows is right for you, rather than what you think is right for you? Well, here's how you do it, right? So we've spoken about this process. See and feel the pain, stop feeling the pain and shift to the solution, see and feel the solution. Now let's go deeper in exactly how you see the solution. So you start by seeing what you want to see. So let's say, for example, you want to take your business. Let's say you have a small business, you want to take it to a certain level. You want a nice office with maybe 2 staff, and you're coming in every day and you love what you're doing, and the staff is helping you create and be productive. So you see that, see the office, ask yourself, what are the colors of the wall? What computer am I using? What type of coffee am I drinking? What is that brainstorm that I'm having with my staff like? Then you ask yourself, what do you hear? Do you hear one of those staff members going, good morning? Do you hear your emails coming in because you're so excitedly busy? Then you ask yourself, what do I taste? Are you tasting your morning cup of coffee? Are you tasting that morning cup of coffee? What are the smells? What are you touching? What is that chair that you're sitting on like? Is it leather? What type of desk do you have? Now, you bring in all of these 5 senses because they make the imagery more real. And the more real the imagery, the more you fool your brain into seeing it as being something that is true. And as your brain starts seeing it as being something that's true, your thoughts start gravitating more towards it. Now, the mistake many people make with creative visualization is some people, visualization isn't easy for them because vision isn't their dominant sense. But they can hear, they can feel. Imagine if you were born blind, right? You may not be able to do creative visualization. So you do creative hearing, creative touching. You use your other senses. You still get the same results. It's not about what you see, you see? It's about what you feel. So as you start doing this, the final question you ask yourself is, what do you feel? How do you feel in the office, in that visual imagery? Do you feel excited? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel like a leader because you have 2 people whom you're working with who are ready to help you attain your goals? Do you feel like you're living your mission? Focus on the feeling. So when you first start, you build up. See, hear, touch, smell, taste. Then focus on the feeling. But then, as you start doing this, just go straight to the feeling. Just go straight to, I feel leaderly. I feel excited doing what I do every single day. I feel accomplished. I feel in line with my mission. You don't have to see anything else, just the feeling. Now, when you do that, what will happen is the universe will start speaking to you. The universe knows what you want to feel. Maybe you're not meant to be in that office. Maybe you're not meant to have those two people. Maybe you're meant to be working for a company. Maybe you're meant to be working by yourself. You don't know that. But when you start focusing on the feeling, the universe comes in to give you the best guidance, sometimes not even things you're prepared for, to give you that feeling. And that's when you start moving towards level 3. Inspiration leads your intention, not intent. So you are focused firmly on the feelings. Now, that is how I do this. I focus on the feelings. I don't see, sometimes I may see certain things I want. That's just for fun. But ultimately, I'm focused on the feelings. I want to feel incredibly healthy. I want to feel incredibly loved. I want to be loving. I focus on the feelings, and everything else starts coming to me. And when I learned this, oh my God, the results were incredible, because I was no longer using my logical mind to decide my path. The universe was now helping me find the best optimized path. That makes all the difference. As you keep doing this, maybe some of you might get to level 4. I've not gotten there yet. Maybe some of you will. That's when you are so in tune with the universe, you are one. And that's the topic of another conversation. So let's do the exercise, right? The exercise we've been talking about. We're going to spend about 5 minutes on it. So pick the area, one of the 3 areas where you scored lowest. We'll start with that area. Okay, you should have the area selected for now. Now, I want you to just sit back and relax and close your eyes. Now start by seeing yourself in that area, whether it's relationships or your environment, and feel and see what you don't like about it. Feel and see what you don't like. I'm going to give you a minute. Okay, now we're going to shift gears. Now you know what you don't want about it. What is it that you do want? Since we're doing this for the first time, we'll take it through the initial first steps. See what you think might be a good solution or a possible solution. If you don't know it's the best solution, don't worry. Make something up. See. So now you're using visuals, right? See the solution. Now, if you were in that solution, if you were in that scene where the solution was happening, in addition to what you're seeing, what do you hear? What are the sounds you hear? Play with that for a moment. What do you see? What do you hear? Now, what do you touch? For example, if you own a brand new car, how does the steering wheel feel? How does the wind on your face feel? Bring in the sense of touch. You can still play around. If you're good at this, you can still play around with seeing, hearing, touch. And if you can, it's not necessary, but if you can, bring in taste, bring in smell, bring in your other 5 senses. Continue with the imagery. Esther Hicks, in her amazing books by Abraham Hicks, says that to start the manifesting process, you just have to stay focused on the imagery for 17 seconds. Okay, so we're going to do that quick 17 seconds starting now. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you sense yourself hearing, touching, taste, smells? 17 seconds are up. Okay, now we're going to get to the next level. Now, what are you feeling when you see this, when you hear this, when you touch this? We're going to focus just on the feeling. It's okay for the visuals and all to disappear from your mind. I want you to just imagine the feeling. Feel the feeling. Do you feel sexy? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel loved? Do you feel like you're contributing? Do you feel joyful? What are those feelings? There could be multiple feelings associated with it. It might be a feeling that there isn't even a name for it in the English language yet. And in 17 seconds, we're going to focus on that feeling. Start. And you're good. You just did 17 seconds. So I'm going to give you a few more seconds to wrap up, and then we're going to end the exercise. Continue playing around with it. Play around with the feeling. Remember, the feeling is what is really important. Now you want to be doing this exercise maybe once a day. And you could pick a different item every day. It is a myth that you need to visualize the same thing every day. Unless it's a health problem, if you visualize it once and it feels good, you don't have to do it again. Unless you stop feeling so sure of it, the expectancy effect goes down, then do it again. For many big goals, I visualize it maybe once every 2 weeks. That's all. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So welcome back. So thank you for that. We are now going to have a little bit of the FAQ. I'm going to answer a couple of questions. I'm going to tell you about the Becoming Limitless course. I'm going to show you like some other techniques. We won't have time to go deep into them, but some other techniques that go way, way, way deeper. So the program that you just experienced, the training that you experienced, is a small slice from the Becoming Limitless program, which, as I said earlier, is Mindvalley's advanced training program. It's a coaching program. When we first released it, it was about $1,000 because I was coaching people live. And we're going to make it available for you on this course at a massive, 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 massive discount. And keep in mind that this is the highest rated program ever at Mindvalley. So this is an incredible thing. So it's beautifully created. You can access it on your mobile phone, online. And if you like this training, right below now you'll see an enroll button where you can enroll for Becoming Limitless at a discounted price. Now, from what I understand, if you enroll today, because you're watching this, you're watching the official broadcast version of this training. There may be a repeat play later on, but if you're watching the official broadcast version, you get the lowest ever price only today. If you or have friends who did not make this training and they're going to watch the replay, they'll also get a good price, but it won't be as low as today. So today's price is only for 1 day, the lowest ever price. And if you look down below, you'll see the discount, and you'll see that it's almost 70%. We want to get as many people as possible in this. And I want to share with you what people are saying, right? Like this lady, this letter I got, the level of growth I've seen in the past 8 weeks has been unlike anything else I've ever experienced. And one of the reasons for that is because this training goes deeper. You learn tactics such as the Delta Doorway, which is a technique you do at night before you sleep to directly communicate true dreams and Delta consciousness with a higher power, to get the higher power aligned with what you want and you aligned with your mission so that you can make big changes in life. It is amazing the results people are getting with the Delta Doorway. You also learn a technique, and this is how I manifest now. So this is if you want to go to the next level of manifesting, which is closer to level 4, it's merging. It's where you bring life to your creation. You're not just feeling the feeling of how you feel, but you give a consciousness to your creation, and you get a sense of how your creation feels. That home that you're trying to visualize gets a consciousness of its own. It has feelings of its own. You're able to do this with your mind, and then you merge with the home to become one force. For a brief while, you forget who you are. You merge. I stumbled upon this tactic when I was meditating for 7 days in a chamber with my brain hooked up to machines. And since then, my life has never been the same again. It's been one of the most powerful manifesting tactics. This is really bending reality. This is the next level. So People sent me letters like this. In terms of techniques, I love Delta Doorway, merging technique. I like the idea of picking your own guides. System allows me to tap into wisdom of different people to resolve my questions and challenges. That's something else. You get to tap into other consciousness, and you get downloads and insights to put you on that right path. The merging technique is ingenious. This is what someone said. To merge yourself with your vision seems to really increase the possibility of fulfilling your vision. The merging technique is a whole lot more powerful than just plain visualizing. These are, again, letters I'm getting for people. Enroll in this program, folks. It is insanely powerful. So again, stats. This is the advanced program in Mindvalley. Nothing you've studied in Mindvalley is as advanced as this. And it's not just me saying it. We do polling for all our programs. This is the highest rated program based on standard industry-wide NPS scoring, 78. The only program in Mindvalley that scores higher is Awesomeness Fest, but that's because that's a live event. That's where it's a live event and it's very hard to get into, and I'm actually there meeting people like for 12 hours a day, and it's limited. But if you're talking about an online program, this is 78. I will tell you right now, there is no better online course on the planet, I believe right now, as far as I know, that you can study to improve your work, to improve your finances. Because it's not about strategy, it's not about skill, that's the slow way of doing it. It's about being able to bend reality with the force of your mind. And that's what this program covers. This person said, it's been 9 weeks since I started. I'm able to stay in the flow state. I used the merging technique and miracles happen. I solved miracles in 2 hours. This person, Sibylla Shepherd, said, I've studied everything. This is the best investment I've made in 5 years. This person said, there is no better course out there that empowers you. Truly inspiring and mind-blowing. Aaron Machado said, I started waking up to a new understanding of reality. I've studied personal growth since I was a teenager. Mona said, after attending the program, more great things started to happen. This person used the forgiveness tactic and dramatically changed your life. So we teach you how to heal different aspects of wounding that your soul goes through that messes up your ability to manifest and slows it down. So how to heal negative beliefs, how to heal things that you need to forgive, how to remove negative charges. When you do that, you clear your soul and you get to a level where the bending is just so much quicker and so much more fun. Sascha said, it is one of the best development experiences in my life, in his life. And that's really what Become Limitless is about. I think it's the coolest, most amazing program I've ever put together. And I'd love for you to try it out. And again, if you order it right now today, because you're attending this live, thank you for attending this live. Some of you are going to be hearing this as a repeat. You'll still get a discount, but we want to reward the people who were disciplined, who attended it live, who took part in this group manifesting we did, and who meditated with me together as I led you through this experience. We value that. It builds community. It's so much more fun. And as a reward, whatever price you see below, we've dropped that further. Okay? So sign up. Highest rated online program in Mindvalley history. And here's the best part. You don't have to believe me. Our customer support, as you know, is ranked top 10 on the planet by Nice Reply. And one reason is because we so believe in our programs, we let you test them out. Sign up, take this entire program, go through, you can take it for a month, right? Go through, in 1 month, you can go through the entire program, or even go through chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you don't like it, if you don't feel it doesn't fundamentally change your life, just ask for a full refund. Just write back to us and say, went through the entire program, it was great, but it wasn't amazing. Give me my money back. And we'll give you your money back. So you literally can take the entire program and then decide. So how about that? I so believe in this. I want to get a lot of people on this. Take the entire program and then decide. And one more thing. I've built I've been experimenting with new community type learning experiences, so we've built a community into the program. So you can join, when you take the program, you will join the Becoming Limitless community, where you get to interact with me and many others, and it's a beautiful community system. You get to ask me questions. I can't answer all questions, but I'm there. I'm sharing new insights, so we get to grow together. When I learn new things, I record it on my iPhone and I upload it straight to this system. So we're pioneering a new style of learning here in Mindvalley, where you don't just learn from me. Different people in the program share their insights, share their practices. We learn from each other. It's called peer-to-peer learning. And it's perpetual learning too, because I am part of this community and I share my insights, my conversations with leaders around the world as they come along. So you continuously learn. and it's free. This community is completely free. There's no subscription fee. It's completely free. Once you buy Becoming Limitless, you get in the community for as long as you want to be in it, right? And the reason the community is so great for me is because, I do all sorts of things. When I'm writing new chapters for my book, I share it with people in the community. You get my book for free, and I love your feedback. And so all of these amazing collaboration happens. We become friends, and we learn from each other. And as I've already stated, my mission, I believe, why I'm put here, is to get these ideas out. I believe that I'm a servant to the universe, and the thing that I'm meant to serve is to get these new downloads, models of consciousness out to humanity. So I want to give you the best experience you can have. So let's go on to your biggest questions, okay? So firstly, if you're enrolling in the program, go ahead and enroll, and open up the, go ahead, click buy. There's a button below, enroll. You'll get all of this, so you aren't missing anything. And for those of you who are staying, who want to hear me answer the questions, let me just quickly go through this. So creating peaceful balance of mind. How do I search for peace within myself instead of outside myself? All right, so it's a complicated process. But to get to peace within yourself, you got to reach a state of mind that I call being unfuckwithable. And a lot of it has to do with forgiveness exercises, as well as healing wounds that you took on from childhood. In Becoming Limitless, we talk about this a lot. So you have an entire chapter, actually it's chapter 2 of Becoming Limitless, where we talk about this inner healing. It's a good question because you have to do the inner healing to be able to become a powerful manifester. Don't get me wrong, you can still manifest, but you can almost increase that 100 to 300% when you do the inner healing and you achieve inner peace. And when you do that, we answer question 2. You stop getting irritated with the small stuff. In Becoming Limitless, we talk about psychological concepts as well, such as fundamental attribution error. When you understand how your mind works, as well as you do the inner healing, small stuff doesn't rub you too big. Now, and then improving health and physical body. How can I exercise simply because I love it for its own intrinsic value, not for specific race, event, or weight loss pursuits? Well, you have to turn exercise into a habit. I'll teach you habit hacking in the Becoming Limitless program. And the other thing is, you can visualize a healthy body. So don't assume you need to exercise. Many people have the wrong concept of exercise, right? So you do not need to exercise for an hour. There are optimal exercise routines, we call them minimal effective dose, that you can do in 15 minutes that will get you better results. And they are more fun. So what happens is, you start by setting the vision for better health, visualizing yourself in radiant health, and then you let the universe guide you towards the exercise or the nutrition program that will get you there. So your problem is not, yours is a means goal problem. It's not about exercise. If you don't like it, maybe it's not for you. Exercise is just one of many different parts to health and wellness. Focus on the end goal, and there may be a better part. You may not even need to exercise much. Maybe it's just walking and healthy eating. Okay, now, number 3, maintaining financial abundance, doing what I love. Oh, important stuff, and the biggest single request we get from you guys. How can I maintain a peaceful balance between doing what I love at a low-paying job, but not making enough money? When you learn the tools I teach at Becoming Limitless, what you find is that job that you love starts expanding and making you so much money. I started teaching meditation, and my friends told me, you're not going to make any money with that. Oh, frickin' hell, look at me now, and I'm still teaching meditation. What happens is, there are room. You see, it has nothing to do with the task. They are broke writers and really wealthy writers. They are broke meditation teachers and really wealthy meditation teachers. They are broke engineers and broke doctors and really wealthy engineers and doctors. It is not what you do. It is your fundamental attitude towards money. And that is what you start to change when you learn to bend reality in the full way. When you learn to bend reality, you could be an artist, but you will not be a starving artist. You learn to bend reality so your artwork sells. And that's really the answer to it. Don't buy the myth that certain jobs will not make you money and certain jobs make you money. Always go for passion. Then bend the heck out of reality to make that money come to you. And I've given you multiple ideas during this training, and if you take the full program, if you're in the full program, you already know the answer because it's there. How can I make myself happier at a job that makes me a lot of money? Same thing. Make it on your own. Start with the happier job and then bend reality to make the money come in. So I bend reality when I started my meditation business. I lost money the first month, didn't make money the second month. but it started growing and growing and growing. Opportunities, coincidences, all these beautiful synchronicities would come to my life as I got better with knowing what I want and bending reality to get there. And again, it's something that you can learn too. Third, when do I know it's time for me to quit my job so I can pursue my one true passion? Just as I did, right? So what happens is, as you start doing the 3 most important questions, creating your vision in those 12 areas, and keeping yourself open, you start getting the nudge. So you start with the vision. You don't think, oh, I want to quit my job. When do I want to quit my job? That's meaningless. Quitting your job isn't going to do anything for you. Start with the vision. Now, what will happen is, maybe something in your job changes to get you to that vision, and you no longer want to quit. Maybe a new opportunity comes up, and then you do quit. But you're quitting and you're going into a healthy opportunity. Maybe your company spins off a different business and you end up there, and that's what you need to get you to your end goal. So the question, when do I know it's time for me to quit my job, is a bullshit question, because it's a means goal. Focus on what you want. Maybe, and there might be a different path there, but it's not quitting your job. There was a time I wanted to quit because I thought that was what I needed to really make an impact in the world and create a dent in the world. It wasn't quitting, and I'm glad I didn't quit. I focused on the end result, and what I was getting out of my job shifted so I could get that end result. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. Right below this, enroll in Becoming Limitless. I'm honored to be your guide and teacher. You'll be part of the community, so I'll actually get to know you, see your face. We'll get to communicate. I'm excited to be sharing pictures with you. And try it out for 30 days. It has nothing to lose. And I know you're going to stay. And I know, because we've polled hundreds of people so far, this will be the best damn online training program you've ever taken. And bonus, if you sign up right now, you get the lowest price this program has ever been at. The lowest price. But it's only for today when we do the broadcast. If you can't make up your mind today, it's all cool. You can sign up tomorrow. The price goes up a little bit, but today is the best price. Thank you.